Welcome back. New legislation in Congress aims to raise hundreds of billions of tax dollars from the wealthiest Americans. The Robin Hood Act would impose 20% tax on loans and lines of credit backed by their capital assets, like stock shares and real estate. Joining us first on CNBC is the bill's sponsor, U.S. Representative Dan Goldman, Democrat from New York. Congressman, welcome to Post 9. Good to have you.
Great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about why you decided, there are lots of wealth taxes. Democrats like wealth taxes. Why this is the way to go?
Well, so as you analyze our tax system, there are a lot of different ways that you can try to tackle wealth inequality. But as you look into it, what I realized is some of the wealthiest billionaires in our country pay almost no tax. There's Jeff Bezos has an effective tax rate of 1%, Elon Musk 3%. And the way that they do that is just by borrowing against their stock, their assets, and that allows the assets to appreciate. They can have as much disposable cash as they want, and they don't have to pay tax. They die, then the stock passes to the next generation, and they get the stepped-up basis. And so rather than focus on the marginal tax rate or a wealth tax or taxing unrealized gains, all of which are very complicated and very difficult, this is a very straightforward way to target the problem that we are trying to solve, which is wealth inequality.
I get it with the billionaires, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, fine. But, your bill targets those with an income of $400,000 to $450,000. That's very different than the billionaires.
Well, that would just be the people who qualify for this tax if they are taking out loans. The reality is
that's doctors and lawyers and small businesses who borrow against their stock holdings. Isn't this going to be crippling for them?
Margin is accepted. It's exempted. So if you are just taking a margin loan to buy stock, that is exempted.
No, but if you're taking a loan against your stock to pay for payroll as a small business owner, then that's a big tax.
I would venture to say there are very few doctors and lawyers who are taking loans out against their stock holdings in order to pay payroll.
Real estate, small business owners.
Look,
why not just raise the threshold?
Your point is, I think your point is well taken. And the goal here is not to stifle growth and innovation with entrepreneurs who are starting new companies, have all of their money wrapped up in that new private company. They can't sell their shares. There are details that I think will have to be hashed out as if this were to go through committee. But the point here, and the vast majority of people who do this are doing it because they can take out huge loans and avoid paying taxes. And when you do see the billionaires, those are the people who are not paying their fair share. And so I do worry a little bit about saying pay your fair share when you're just looking at the top marginal tax rate, because those salaried and wage earners are paying a lot of tax, especially here in New York City. But it is the people who are avoiding the tax through these loans against their assets that this bill tries to tackle, and that I think really gets at the problem that we're trying to solve.
So projected revenue, projected number of people who might be affected by this move?
It's hard to gauge the projected revenue. We actually took a fairly conservative view of it to determine that basically it'll be close to $300 billion over 10 years. That can pay for universal child care. That can pay for universal pre-K for all 4-year-olds. That can pay for a vast amount of early child tax credits. All of these policies that actually would be beneficial for the economy as well. So it's just an upfront cost that has a benefit on the GDP on the back end.
Speaking of universal child care, I think of the incoming mayor who wants to tax the wealthiest New Yorkers as well, not in the way that you're discussing, but simply on their income. Do you support that?
I don't support the way that the mayor-elect wants to do this. I do not think that a city tax is the right way to go. I think this should be equitable around the country. New York has very high taxes. We need to keep businesses here. We need to keep people here. We need to grow that economy overall by implementing a 2% tax on those who make over $1 million or more. We may push more people out and generate less revenue. But I do agree with the general idea, which is why I am introducing this bill to tackle, I think, the same problem that the mayor-elect is trying to get at.
Right, on the national level. I had this conversation some time back with Senator Warren.